Welcome to my channel. The night was quiet on the human colony world of Eden 9, a silver moon hanging low above the glass rooftops. Commander Eli Ward had just returned from his late patrol, unaware that something extraordinary was waiting behind his door. Humanity had long shared this sector with the alien Varelians, a species of elegant, luminescent beings whose presence still felt like a dream from another galaxy. For years, they lived peacefully as neighbors. But there was one, the alien next door, who always watched Eli with eyes that shimmered like liquid sapphire. Her name was Kaelra, and though she rarely spoke, her silence carried the weight of 1,000 secrets. That night, when Eli awoke to a faint hum and saw her shadow standing inside his room, his breath froze. She wasn't supposed to be there. No alien ever entered a human's private quarters, not under the strict Galactic Council accords. But Kaelra's voice trembled when she whispered, "Please, don't speak. They're listening." From that single moment, everything Eli knew about peace, trust, and the fragile balance of their shared colony began to unravel. The first minutes were filled with tense stillness. Kaelra's silver skin glowed faintly in the dim light, her eyes darting toward the ceiling as if expecting something to descend from above. Eli wanted to demand answers, but something about her expression, fear mixed with sorrow, made him hesitate. Outside, the wind carried faint mechanical whispers, almost like drones scanning the streets. Kaelra reached into her robe and revealed a crystalline shard pulsing with faint blue light. "This," she said softly, "wasn't meant to exist. It's a fragment of what your people call truth." Before Eli could ask more, a low rumble shook the building. The colony's sensors roared to life, alarms echoing through the quiet night. Kaelra grabbed his hand, her touch cold and electric. "They know I came to you," she said, and for a moment Eli realized the they she spoke of wasn't human. The Galactic Council had always promised harmony between species. Yet here stood proof that something darker was hidden beneath that promise. Kaelra led Eli through a narrow maintenance tunnel that ran beneath the residential block. As they moved through the shadows, she revealed the truth. The Council had discovered a new form of energy, born from human neural resonance. Humanity's emotions, pain, and memories could be harvested and converted into near-infinite power. The aliens had forbidden the research publicly, but secretly, it had never stopped. Kaelra, a Council aide, had stumbled on classified transmissions showing experiments conducted on remote human outposts. She had tried to warn her people, but when she refused to stay silent, they marked her as a traitor. Eli's mind raced. If the Council was truly using humans as energy sources, then the peace he fought to protect was nothing but a lie. Hours turned into a blur as they escaped deeper into the old city. The tunnels led to a forgotten chamber built during Eden 9's first colonization wave. There, Kaelra activated the crystal, projecting images into the air. Human captives connected to glowing machines, their memories extracted in streams of light. The vision was horrific yet mesmerizing, a perfect example of how far the Galactic Council would go to sustain its empire. Eli felt his fists tighten. Humanity had endured centuries of alien dominance, but this crossed a line no soldier could ignore. Kaelra's voice trembled as she confessed she had helped design those devices, believing they would preserve life, not destroy it. "Now," she said, "the only way to stop it is to expose them. But I can't reach the main network alone." Eli made a choice that night. Humanity would no longer hide behind treaties signed in fear. Together, he and Kaelra infiltrated the communications tower of the Council's relay station. The scene was drenched in cold blue light, mechanical sentinels gliding through the corridors. The tension built with every step, the hum of alien technology echoing in Eli's chest like a second heartbeat. As Kaelra interfaced with the terminal, alarms triggered. The Council's enforcers had found them. In the chaos that followed, plasma bolts cut through the air. Eli shielded Kaelra, taking a blast to his shoulder but refusing to fall. She screamed his name in a language that seemed to vibrate reality itself. Her touch glowed brighter, and for the first time, Eli realized she wasn't just an alien. She was something far more. She was half human, Created in secret by the Council as a living bridge between species, she had inherited the very energy they sought to exploit. With her powers unleashed, the relay tower erupted in light. Every secret transmission, every lie, every hidden atrocity was broadcast across the galactic network. Worlds watched in shock as images of human suffering filled their skies. The Council tried to shut it down, but Kael'ra's link was unstoppable. In that instant, the galaxy saw the truth. Humanity was not weak, not inferior, not prey. They were the key, the source, and they had just been betrayed. As the tower collapsed, Eli carried Kael'ra through the smoke, her body dimming, her voice fading. "Now they know," she whispered. "And now they'll come for you." Her final words burned into his heart like fire. When dawn broke, humanity's silence ended. Across countless systems, humans rose together under one banner, no longer divided by colonies or factions. The phrase, "they came at midnight," became a symbol of awakening. The Galactic Council demanded surrender, but humanity's reply was simple: no more. The war that followed reshaped the stars. Kael'ra's name became legend, a symbol of unity and sacrifice, the alien who loved humanity enough to betray her own kind. And Eli Ward, the soldier who stood beside her, became the first commander of the Terran Vanguard. Their story, part tragedy, part redemption, was told for generations. A reminder that truth often begins in silence. In the quiet moment when one alien entered a human's room at midnight and changed the galaxy forever. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more HFY and sci-fi tales about humanity's courage, our choices, and the endless mysteries of space. The next night after the broadcast, the colony of Eden 9 sat under a broken sky. The air smelled of burned metal and ozone, and the soft hum of the Galactic Council surveillance grid was gone. For the first time in decades, there was silence, real silence. Eli Ward sat beside the bed where Kael'ra lay unconscious, her skin dim and pale, her once luminous eyes flickering faintly beneath closed lids. The medbay lights cast long, trembling shadows across the floor. The human resistance had barely begun to form, yet every message, every encrypted call that came through the comms carried the same tone. A mix of fear, hope, and fury. The truth was out now. The galaxy had seen the Council's crimes. But exposure alone wasn't victory. The Council was ancient, powerful, and unshaken by morality. They would erase humanity before allowing rebellion to spread. Kael'ra stirred, whispering his name. Eli leaned closer, her breath shallow. "They'll come for you," she said. "Not because you're dangerous, but because you're proof they were wrong." Her hand trembled as she pressed the glowing shard into his palm again. "This is only one piece of the truth. There are others hidden deep in the core worlds. You have to find them before they do." Eli didn't know whether she would live to see another sunrise, but her words ignited something within him. He had been a soldier most of his life, trained to follow, to obey, but now, for the first time, he felt the weight of purpose. The next morning, a fleet of old transport ships gathered above Eden 9. Pilots, engineers, doctors, and farmers, all humans, answered a single call. For Kael'ra. For humanity. The HFY uprising had begun. Every colony that had once bowed to the Council now sent fragments of its strength. The alien races who had quietly admired humanity's resilience began to take notice. Even among the Council's ranks, whispers spread. Questions long suppressed now spoken aloud. How could a species the Council called primitive bring an empire to its knees with nothing but courage and truth? In orbit, the Council's fleet arrived like a wall of fire. Their ships were vast, living vessels of bioengineered metal, pulsing like hearts in the void. They demanded surrender. The humans answered with a single broadcast from Eli's command deck. His voice echoed through space, raw and calm. Humanity has survived ice ages, wars, and silence. You think fear will stop us? Then you've never truly known what it means to be human. Those words spread like wildfire across the networks. It wasn't just defiance, it was an awakening. The first clash came at the edge of the Kepler belt. Human ships, patched together from mining vessels and cargo haulers, faced the Council's pristine dreadnoughts. The battle wasn't fair. It wasn't even close. Yet the humans fought like they were defending more than survival, they were defending meaning. Every blast of light was a heartbeat of rebellion. Down on the surface, Kael'ra awoke to the faint tremor of engines leaving orbit. Her strength was faint, her energy drained, but her mind connected to the frequencies of the fleet through the same resonance that once bound her to the Council. She saw flashes of human courage, of fear, of love. It was overwhelming, too much emotion for her alien senses. Tears slipped down her silver cheek as she realized something extraordinary. Humanity's power wasn't in its technology, but in its emotions, the very thing the Council had tried to suppress. Their empathy, rage, grief, and hope created a resonance that machines couldn't replicate. It was life itself. She stood, trembling but determined. If humanity was to survive, she had to help them channel that power before the Council found a way to destroy it. As the battle intensified, Eli's fleet began to falter. The Council's dreadnoughts unleashed plasma storms that tore through the fragile human lines. Communications burned with static and screams. In the middle of the chaos, Kael'ra's voice suddenly appeared on every channel, soft but commanding. "Do not fear the light," she said. "Use it." The crystal she had given Eli began to pulse violently, resonating with the emotions of every human alive. Across the battlefield, human ships began to synchronize, not through orders but through instinct. Their movements became fluid, unified, as if guided by one collective will. Even alien observers were stunned. The impossible was happening. Humanity had turned emotion into strategy. The Council's commanders panicked, their algorithms unable to predict or counter what they could not understand. Kael'ra's energy merged with the fleet's resonance. She stood at the heart of the colony's core reactor, her body glowing like a living star. The power flowing through her threatened to tear her apart, yet she smiled through the pain. "This is what it means to feel," she whispered. "This is what they feared." In that moment, a massive surge of light erupted from the planet, flooding space with pure, harmonic energy. Every human ship absorbed the wave, their engines roaring back to life. The tide turned. The Council's dreadnoughts began to crumble, their control systems fried by the emotional frequency they had never accounted for. For the first time in millennia, the Galactic Council tasted defeat. As the last alien flagship fell, silence filled the void again. Humanity had won not through force, but through unity. Yet the victory came at a cost. When Eli returned to the colony, he found Kael'ra collapsed near the core, her glow fading like the last ember of a dying fire. She looked up at him with a faint smile. "You did it," she said, her voice barely a whisper. Eli took her hand, feeling the cold metal warmth of her skin. "No," he said, "we did it." As her light dimmed completely, her final words echoed in his heart. "Promise me. They'll never forget what we are." From that day forward, humanity's flag carried a symbol of a human and an alien hand intertwined. The Council's empire shattered, replaced by the United Terran Accord, a new alliance built on trust and memory. Across space, the legend spread, the alien who came at midnight. And though centuries would pass, every time the stars glowed faintly blue, people whispered her name, Kael'ra, the one who taught humanity that emotion was its greatest weapon. If you enjoyed this continuation, remember to like, share, and subscribe for more HFY stories that celebrate humanity's courage, compassion, and strength among the stars. The years that followed the Battle of Eden 9 were both glorious and uncertain. Humanity stood victorious, but the galaxy it had inherited was fractured beyond repair. Entire sectors burned with rebellion. The Council's surviving species, once loyal subjects, now turned against each other in chaos, blaming humanity for the collapse of order. From the ruins rose the Terran vanguard, the new guardians of peace, and Eli Ward, once just a soldier, became their reluctant leader. His face was carved into murals across human colonies, but his heart remained heavy with loss. Every night he would stand beneath the stars and remember Kael'ra, the alien who crossed the line between species to awaken humanity's soul. He could still feel her energy in the crystal shard she had left him, now dim and fragile, yet somehow alive. What he didn't know was that Kaelra's essence, her consciousness, had not vanished completely. It lingered in the frequencies that pulsed between human ships, woven into the new signal humanity used to communicate across light years. That same signal began to act strangely. Ships near the outer rim reported hearing whispers in the static, soft voices saying Eli's name, calling for help. At first, Command dismissed it as interference from damaged relays. But then one ship vanished entirely. The TSS Horizon, a science vessel carrying the brightest minds of the Vanguard, disappeared near the edge of known space where the Council once built their central archive. Eli couldn't ignore the connection. He knew the archive was where Kaelra once served before she defected. Against the advice of his generals, he took a small crew and set out aboard the Vanguard Dawn, determined to find the truth. Humanity had conquered the stars, but now Eli faced a deeper mystery, what truly remained of Kaelra and the power she awakened. Their journey led them through silent sectors, past derelict alien cities, and shattered moons that floated like ghostly reminders of war. The crew grew uneasy. Strange readings appeared, fluctuating energy waves that mirrored the exact resonance Kaelra once emitted. At night, the ship's lights flickered, and Eli would hear faint echoes through the intercom. Her voice, distant but unmistakable, whispering, "Eli, don't stop." Each time it came, the crystal shard in his pocket glowed faintly, guiding them onward. The crew began to question whether the voice was real or a psychological echo of grief. Yet Eli's conviction only deepened. Humanity had followed Kaelra's light once before. Now he would do so again. Finally, they reached the coordinates. An empty expanse of space with no planets, no stars, just a swirling mass of luminescent dust. The sensors detected something beneath it, an artificial structure cloaked in dimensional distortion. It was the Council Core, a forgotten fortress built to preserve the minds of their greatest leaders. Kaelra had once called it the place where truths are buried. As the Vanguard Dawn descended, massive pylons emerged from the fog, ancient and alive, resonating with faint energy pulses that matched human neural frequencies. The moment Eli set foot inside, he felt it, her presence. The corridors were lined with translucent walls showing frozen memories. Council debates, human experiments, and Kaelra's rebellion replayed endlessly. Each echo grew louder, almost sentient, until the lights formed her silhouette once more. Kaelra's form appeared, faint, spectral, yet full of sorrow. "You shouldn't have come," she said, her voice echoing through the hall like wind across glass. Eli stepped closer, disbelief in his eyes. "You're alive," he breathed. She shook her head slowly. "Not alive. Just the memory they couldn't destroy." The Council, in its desperation, had attempted to extract and imprison her consciousness, hoping to use her hybrid energy again. But she had broken the containment, scattering fragments of herself across the galaxy. "Every whisper you heard, every surge of light. It was me," she said softly. "But I'm fading, Eli. Soon there will be nothing left." His fists clenched. "Then we'll take you home. We'll rebuild your form." She smiled sadly. "You can't save me without losing what makes you human. My energy feeds on emotion, it would burn your mind." Before he could respond, the fortress began to tremble. Massive constructs, remnants of the Council's sentinels, awoke from stasis, their crimson eyes flaring to life. They were programmed to protect the archive at all costs, and to them, humanity's presence meant contamination. The corridors filled with thunderous footsteps. Kaelra reached out, her spectral hand glowing brighter. "You must go," she said, "or you'll die here with me." Eli refused to retreat. "Not this time," he said. "You came for me once. Now it's my turn." He activated his wrist beacon, summoning the Vanguard's defense drones. The hall erupted in chaos, blinding flashes of plasma fire tearing through the ancient machines. Kaelra's voice guided him through the smoke, helping him find the archive's control core. There, he saw what the Council had hidden. Data vaults containing thousands of human neural imprints, souls extracted during their secret experiments. It was not just a prison, it was a graveyard. Kaelra appeared beside him again, her form flickering violently. "If you destroy this place," she said, "you'll free them, but you'll erase me too." Eli's heart wrenched. The choice tore him apart. Humanity's freedom, or the last echo of the woman who had saved it. The seconds stretched into eternity. Outside, the fortress began collapsing under its own ancient power. He looked into her eyes, glowing faintly with that same midnight blue he remembered, and whispered, "You gave me my humanity. I'll honor it by setting everyone free." Kaelra smiled through tears. "Then you've already saved me." Eli pressed his hand against the control core. The shard in his palm merged with it, releasing a burst of light that shook the stars. The fortress exploded in silence. No sound, just a wave of energy that rippled across the galaxy. Every enslaved consciousness was released, every hidden lie undone. And in that final surge, he heard her voice one last time, soft as the first night they met. "Goodbye, Eli. Remember me not as alien or human, but as something born between." When the Vanguard dawn emerged from the wreckage, the stars above were brighter. The crew was silent, knowing they had witnessed something sacred. Humanity had not only freed itself, it had freed every memory bound by the Council's cruelty. And though Kaelra was gone, the frequency she left behind became part of every ship, every transmission, every heartbeat in space. They called it the resonance, a reminder that emotion, love, loss, and sacrifice was the true power that connected all sentient life. If this chapter moved you, remember to like, share, and subscribe for more HFY stories about humanity's courage, the bonds we form, and the love that even the stars cannot silence. The energy wave from the Council core spread far beyond what any of them expected. Across the galaxy, sleeping machines woke, broken codes reconnected, and long silent frequencies began to hum again. Humanity's fleet, scattered through dozens of systems, all received the same transmission. A faint, rhythmic pulse like a heartbeat echoing through space. The Terran Vanguard scientists called it the Echo, but Eli Ward knew better. It was Kaelra. Her essence hadn't vanished entirely. Somewhere within that brilliant explosion, her consciousness had merged with the galactic network itself, becoming part of the living rhythm of space. She was everywhere now, woven into the hum of warp drives, the static of communications, and the soft whispers that astronauts swore they heard when drifting too close to the edge of the void. Humanity had freed her, but in doing so, she had become something beyond mortal form, something eternal. Back on Eden 9, the new capital of the Terran Accord, life slowly rebuilt itself. The once broken streets now shimmered with new light. Human and alien children played under banners that bore both symbols intertwined. Peace had a fragile heartbeat, but it was real. Still, Eli could not rest. His nights were haunted by visions of Kaelra's final words, of the explosion that seemed to linger in his dreams. He'd wake to faint static on the comms, the same pulse repeating, "One long, too short, one long," her old signal pattern. "You can't let it end here," it seemed to say. The more he heard it, the more convinced he became that her message wasn't just memory. It was warning. Humanity had destroyed the Council's fortress, but deep within the galactic rim, something else was stirring. In the months that followed, Vanguard scouts began disappearing in uncharted sectors. Wreckage drifted back carrying strange marks, etched glyphs glowing faintly blue, the same light Kaelra once carried in her veins. Some believed it was her spirit guiding them toward something, but the deeper truth was darker. The energy wave that freed Kaelra had also awakened another force, the Architects, an ancient precursor civilization that predated the Council itself. They had once ruled the stars through pure resonance energy, shaping worlds and species according to their will. When Kaelra merged with the network, she touched the remnants of their technology, and now it had begun to stir. The Architects were returning, and they had seen humanity's new power. Eli gathered his senior officers in the Vanguard Citadel, a towering glass fortress overlooking Eden 9's silver seas. Holographic projections filled the war room, maps of expanding anomalies, energy readings, and intercepted signals written in impossible language. "They're not the Council," said Admiral Voss, her voice tense. "These readings show frequencies that predate known galactic history. Whatever's out there, it's older than Kaelra's people, older than us." Eli stood silently, his eyes locked on the glowing patterns. "She woke them," he said softly, "and now they're looking for her." The room fell silent. For the architects, Kaelra was not a person. She was a signal fragment of their original creation, a seed of their own power. They wanted it back. And to get it, they would come for the species now bonded with it, humanity. The first attack came without warning. A deep space mining colony near Vega went dark within minutes. Surveillance drones recorded the approach of shimmering vessels that moved like liquid light, bending gravity as they passed. There were no weapons, no broadcasts, no demands, just disintegration. Entire cities vanished as if erased from reality. When the Terran fleet arrived, they found only silence and the faint pulse of the echo still whispering through the wreckage. "She's trying to warn us," Eli muttered. "She knows them." But what was once Kaelra's light now flickered with something else, fear. The architects had found her trace, and in their pursuit, they would burn worlds to reclaim it. Determined not to lose another soul, Eli ordered the construction of the Resonant Bastion, a massive orbital defense platform capable of amplifying the echo to communicate across dimensions. If Kaelra's consciousness still existed in the frequencies, perhaps she could be reached. For weeks, the engineers worked tirelessly, fusing alien and human technology that Kaelra herself had helped design years before. When it was complete, the platform looked like a cathedral in space. A ring of silver and blue light hovering over Eden 9, humming with unseen energy. On the day of activation, the stars themselves seemed to dim. Eli stood before the control console and placed the crystal shard, now cracked and pulsing weakly, into the core. The entire structure trembled, lights flaring as the echo roared to life. And then, through the static, a voice emerged. Soft, familiar, trembling like a heartbeat in the dark. "Eli?" It was Kaelra. No longer a ghost, no longer a whisper, but something vast and luminous. "You shouldn't have called me back," she said. "They're listening." Before Eli could respond, the control panels overloaded, sparks flying as the Bastion systems screamed under invisible strain. Outside, in the void, distortions appeared, ribbons of light twisting into enormous forms. The architects had found the signal. They were watching. Kaelra's voice grew stronger, filled with urgency. "They want what's inside you. The shard you hold, it's a key, Eli. Connects to their origin. Destroy it before they reach you." But he couldn't. That shard was the last part of her he had left. Her essence, her heart. He looked out the viewport as shapes the size of moons began to emerge from the darkness, each one radiating impossible power. Humanity's next war was no longer about survival. It was about existence itself. As the Bastion shuddered under gravitational waves, Kaelra's image appeared before him, her eyes now burning with starlight. "If you trust me," she said, "let me guide you one last time." The platform systems synced with her frequency, and suddenly Eli understood. The shard was not a key to destroy, but to awaken. Humanity's emotions, its resonance, had the power to counter the architect's void. "They create from logic," Kaelra whispered, "but you create from feeling." In a blinding surge, the Bastion unleashed a wave of harmonic energy across the system, a pulse that carried every emotion of every human alive. Love, fear, anger, hope, all of it woven into light. The architects recoiled, their vessels cracking like glass under the force of pure consciousness. Humanity's song had become its greatest weapon once again. When the light faded, the stars returned to calm. The architect ships were gone, dissolved into fragments of dust and light. The Bastion was in ruins, and Eli lay amidst the wreckage, the shard still glowing faintly beside him. Through the smoke, Kaelra's voice came one last time, softer than ever. "You did it again," she whispered. "You made them remember what creation truly feels like." He smiled faintly, closing his eyes as tears met the dust on his face. "You never left," he murmured. "You just became the stars." From that day forward, when humanity looked up at the night sky, they saw faint blue glimmers that danced between the constellations. The people called them Kaelra's tears, a reminder that love, even born from different worlds, could echo forever. And in that endless HFY story of courage and connection, one truth remained. Humanity had not just survived the galaxy, it had taught it how to feel again. If this part of the story moved you, remember to like, share, and subscribe for more HFY sci-fi tales of courage, love, and the unbreakable soul of humanity among the stars. The peace that followed the destruction of the Architect's fleet was fragile, like a flame trembling in the wind. The galaxy lay quiet, scarred but alive. Eden 9, once a colony at the edge of the stars, was now the beating heart of a newborn era. The Terran Accord stood as the greatest power in known space, yet its leader, Admiral Eli Ward, no longer felt the thrill of victory. Too many stars had gone dark, too many voices had vanished into the cosmic silence. He spent his nights alone in the observation tower above the shattered ring of the resonant bastion, staring at the faint shimmer of blue dust drifting across the sky, the remnants of Kaelra's energy, forever circling the world she saved. Every now and then, the comms would flicker, and the same rhythmic pattern would hum through the static. One long, two short, one long. Her signal. Her heartbeat. A promise that somewhere, somehow, she was still watching. But deep in the frontier, beyond charted systems, a new silence was spreading. A silence not born of peace but of erasure. Mining fleets went dark. Colonies vanished without distress calls. When Vanguard scouts returned, their eyes were empty, their memories fractured by something they couldn't describe. It was like the stars forgot we existed, one survivor whispered before collapsing. The scientists of the Accord called it the quiet zone, an expanding void where signals died and even thought itself seemed to fade. Eli felt the same unease he'd known before Kaelra's first warning. He gathered his counsel and stared at the readings that pulsed across the hollow table. An energy signature identical to Kaelra's, only inverted, corrupted, twisted. Whatever had awakened when the architects fell had not died with them. It had adapted. The quiet zone grew faster each week, consuming systems as if rewriting the laws of space itself. Desperate for answers, Eli ordered a deep space expedition, Project Aurora, to reach the heart of the void. The flagship Erebus carried the best of humanity's minds. Engineers, philosophers, soldiers, and even alien scholars who had once feared humans, but now trusted them more than their own kind. As they entered the darkness, light bent and sound vanished. Every system flickered. The crew spoke in whispers without knowing why. Time itself stretched like a dying breath. And then, from the black, something reached back. A pulse of cold light that echoed Kaelra's voice, distant and distorted. "Eli, this isn't death. It's the other side of creation." The crew watched in awe as a structure materialized ahead. A vast lattice of energy, neither machine nor living thing, glowing with endless patterns. The scanners read no mass, no temperature, yet it was there, pulsing like a heartbeat of the universe. Eli realized they had found the source well, the origin of the resonance energy that once powered the architects and now connected all sentient life. But something was wrong. The frequencies were unstable, fractured by humanity's earlier pulse that had defeated the architects. "We changed the song," Kaelra's faint echo whispered. "And now the universe doesn't know which melody to follow. If the frequencies collapsed completely, everything born of resonance, every star, every mind, every spark of life would unravel." Determined to restore balance, Eli ordered the Erebus deeper into the structure. Inside, light curved like water, forming visions of every memory he had ever lived. He saw Kaelra standing beneath the silver moon of Eden 9, smiling before the war, her eyes full of wonder. "You're not a ghost," he said aloud, his voice trembling. "You're part of this." The projection stepped closer, and for a moment, her hand brushed his. "You taught the universe to feel," she said softly, "but now it needs a heart." She turned her gaze to the glowing shard still hanging from his neck. It had been with him since that night, the last piece of her. "The shard was never my heart," she whispered. "It was yours. That's why it kept glowing." Eli finally understood. The only way to restore the balance was to return human emotion to the source well, to make the resonance whole again. But the price would be his own consciousness, his memories, his very soul merged into the flow. "If I do this," he said, "will I see you again?" Kaelra smiled through shimmering tears. "You'll never stop seeing me. We'll be the voice behind every heartbeat, every breath of life. We'll be the story that never ends." With a calm breath, Eli stepped into the light, the shard glowing brighter until his form dissolved into thousands of beams. Across the galaxy, stars flared alive as if rejoicing. The quiet zone began to shrink. Signals returned. Life resumed its song. Humanity had given the universe its heart back. When the Erebus returned, the crew found the bridge empty except for a single transmission still looping through the comms. A message in Eli's voice. "Remember us not for war, but for wonder." Humanity's strength was never in our weapons. It was in our will to love, to protect, to feel. Carry that forward. The recording ended with a faint hum. One long, two short, one long. The eternal rhythm of Kaelra and Eli's resonance. Centuries later, explorers would still hear that pulse when they crossed deep space. A soft reminder that somewhere within the cosmic song, humanity's spirit endured. The children of new worlds grew up listening to tales of the human and the alien who taught the stars to feel. They called it the resonant legacy, a story of love, sacrifice, and the endless courage of humanity in the great HFY expanse of space. If you felt the power of this part, remember to like, share, and subscribe for more HFY stories about love that transcends worlds, courage that defies extinction, and the light that no darkness can ever silence. Generations passed, and the stars themselves seemed to hum with memory. Humanity had spread across thousands of worlds now, building cities among the clouds of gas giants and beneath the glass seas of frozen moons. The Terran Accord had become something greater than government, a philosophy that united species who once stood divided by fear. At the center of it all, on Eden 9, a monument stood beneath the twin suns, a towering sculpture of light and metal, depicting a human hand and an alien hand reaching toward each other. It shimmered every dusk, pulsing gently with that same ancient rhythm. One long, two short, one long. The resonance, the heartbeat of the universe. The legend of Eli Ward and Kaelra had passed into myth, taught in schools, whispered among travelers who swore they could still hear their voices when alone among the stars. But to some, it was more than myth, it was a mystery that begged to be understood. In the Academy of Resonant Studies, young scholar Mira Solon stared at an ancient relic floating in stasis. A small, fractured crystal shard, glowing faintly blue. It was said to be the last remnant of Eli Ward's heart, the very shard that bridged the divide between human and alien souls. For centuries, no one dared to activate it, fearing what it might awaken. But Mira was not like other scientists. She was descended from both human and Varelian blood. The same lineage Kaelra had begun long ago. And ever since childhood, she had heard a whisper when she looked to the stars. A soft, familiar hum that called her name. That night, alone in the silent lab, she reached out and touched the shard, pulsed once, then again, and suddenly the room filled with light. The air shimmered as two forms emerged from the crystal. A man and a woman woven from pure energy, their shapes radiant and warm. Eli Ward and Kaelra. They stood side by side, smiling at her with eyes full of quiet pride. Mira stumbled back, her heart racing. "You're real," she whispered. Kaelra stepped closer, her voice calm and melodic. "Real enough to remember. Not flesh, not spirit, just memory carried through time." Eli's voice followed, deep and steady. "Humanity's song survived because of you, all of you. Every choice, every generation kept the resonance alive." Myra's eyes filled with tears. "Then why return now?" she asked. Kaelra's gaze turned upward as the air trembled with faint vibrations. Because the song is changing again, she said. And soon, it will need a new conductor. Outside, space itself began to shimmer. The stars dimmed as if exhaling after millennia of light. Across the galaxy, strange distortions appeared, holes where time folded back on itself. The resonant network, which connected every world through emotion-based communication, began to flicker uncontrollably. Entire systems fell silent. Scientists couldn't explain it, but Mira understood. The balance that Eli had restored so long ago was fading. The universe, once given a heart, now pulsed too strongly, its emotions overwhelming the structure of reality itself. "It's not dying," Kaelra whispered. "It's feeling too much." Humanity's greatest gift, emotion, had become too powerful for the cosmos to contain. Eli turned to Mira, his expression grave. "The resonance is alive now. It remembers every joy, every pain, every loss. It's searching for someone to guide it. A new voice strong enough to harmonize all that emotion before it tears itself apart." The shard in Myra's hand vibrated like a living thing, its glow deepening. "You mean me," she said quietly. Kaelra nodded. "Your blood carries both sides of the song, human passion and alien clarity. You are what we dreamed the universe could become." Myra's fear turned to resolve. "Then I'll do what you did," she said. "I'll protect it." Guided by their fading forms, Mira traveled to the edge of the known galaxy, where the source well had once pulsed, the same place where Eli sacrificed himself. But now it was no longer a void. It had become a storm of light, swirling with every color, every memory ever felt by every being that had lived. As her ship approached, the resonance filled her mind, flooding her with visions. People laughing, crying, fighting, forgiving. A galaxy alive with emotion. She stepped out into the brilliance, her body dissolving into energy, her consciousness stretching across the cosmos. For a heartbeat, she saw them both, Eli and Kaelra, waiting within the light. Kaelra reached out, her touch warm as starlight. "You've always been one of us," she said softly. Eli smiled. "Now, teach the universe what it means to hope." Mira closed her eyes and let go. The storm quieted. The resonance calmed. Across the galaxy, communication returned, stars brightened, and the ancient hum softened into a steady, beautiful rhythm. The universe had found its balance again, guided now by a new mind, a new heart. The Terran Accord declared a new age, the era of harmony, where every being could feel the presence of the resonance, not as a weapon or a mystery, but as a living reminder of connection. And so the legend continued, not of war, but of love, not of power, but of understanding. Humanity had not just changed the galaxy, it had become its soul. In every transmission, in every flicker of light between stars, that rhythm still echoed. One long, too short, one long, the eternal heartbeat of creation. If this final part touched your heart, remember to like, share, and subscribe for more cinematic HFY sci-fi stories that honor humanity's courage, compassion, and the love that even time itself could never silence.